Woo! What a time to be alive, people. What a time to be alive. I'm kind of out of breath with all of the stuff and all of the things. Well, I'm going to just dive in. This is an energy update, but it's a post-eclipse energy update because there was way too much going on in my life. Still landing. Everything was in transition and movement. And I thought, you know what? Just let it come down on the runway. I don't know whether you can hear that, but there's a fat plane flying over my house right now. So let it land, which is exactly what I was doing last week. Because I started off my week last week, starting like one day, kind of good. Second day, awful. Next day, kind of good. Next day, awful. And it was like an accordion, like I was being played like an instrument. And it was really, really intense. Tiredness, just, dreams, everything. But it was very different to the normal purgy stuff. It was still purgy, let's not get it twisted, but it was just a little bit different, but very, very deep, very, very powerful. And what I noticed and what I was observing was people around me, including myself, and this is probably going to resonate with you as well. It was the most specific core issue stuff that everybody was purging. And that's different to each and every one of us, right? So somebody might be like, with loss over there. Somebody might have an issue with like relationships or whatever and having bad ones. That core issue of you was the one that was being dug up from the trenches, man. And that was like, whew, that was really, really stingy and sore. But the difference was this time, you probably found that you were able to navigate through it a lot quicker. There's an empowerment there. And it was just like, yeah, I know what this is. Yep, been here a million times before. And I know exactly what's needed now, which is really indicative of what the eclipse energies is all about. Because eclipse energies are the kind of frequencies that come in that give you absolute life-changing results. Like you'll be here and then you'll be going down there somewhere. So it's like, it's big. It's really, really big. And I'm one of the star signs, being an Aquarius, that was kind of propelled into the mix of all of this, as well as Scorpio and Libra. And I know there was a ton others, but I'm only just picking out the ones that are in my household because my kids are both Scorpio and Libra, and I'm Aquarius, so that's a big fat mix in one. But that's what's happening, is this big newness, propulsion into where we've got to go. But it's really digging up the last remnants, the last bits and pieces, because where we are at mastery level now. Okay, we really are. If you are not, or if you feel you're still stuck, let go of the fight. Just stop fighting, because behind that struggle is your mastery. And listen, I am one to speak about this. My whole week, I was like, yeah, need to call myself out here, because the whole week, when I get hit with this energy, I can usually call it and say, do you know what? Today's not a day to work. Let me go and lie down. Do you think I could let go of that and go into my peace codes? Do you think I could find my peace? I had this engine running and it wouldn't stop. And I knew that I wasn't letting go. I knew that I was resisting. And I knew, watching myself, that I was just like, crazy lady, just let it go. And I couldn't. Even when I lay down on the sofa, I was like, this is not working. So I had to just make peace with that and be accepting of that. Now, that wasn't a byproduct of the shadow that I was going through, and I happened to feel like that. That was the shadow. And many of you might have felt that, our inability to stop controlling. We control everything. We're always trying to help spirit along and the manifestations in our lives. And it's just like, we don't need to do that, because as soon as we visualize something and ask for something, everything you want, you already have. Okay. But we're so used to going like, well, we got to work really hard just to help it along and make sure the universe gets it right. And that is obviously deemed as resistance, control, and just faffing around with it. And it just exhausts us now. We've got no place for that anymore. So that's what really came out in the wash with the eclipse energies. And just to know that we're still in the eclipse energies, even though it was Saturday, we're still in it. And it's going to take us through to the full moon on the 28th of October. And that's going to be a full moon lunar eclipse as well. So, we're just going for it now. But October was always going to be the month that kind of like put you on the map. You know what I mean? Like went there, changed direction, and aren't we all ready for that, Okay, I'm back. My doorbell rang and I had to go and stop the video. And I'm now back in the flow, because I'm not doing this video again because I'm in the mode. And that is very much the next bit of the video, because it's all to do with this portal power. When portals land and eclipses and things like that, that energy comes in like a freight train. Grab your surfboard and run with it. However, Also know when to get out the waves because it gets a little bit tiring. So you have to be a master of that energy once again and kind of pull that back and be discerning. Remember, ebb and flow. Can't go because you will tire. So it's really being the master and being empowered in your energy and frequency. Run with it, create, then pull back, take rest, because the new energies is about us doing way less and receiving so much more, because it's all about energy and frequency. And the only thing that we need to do to be in this new life now is to align. Whereas before we were just grinding and working so hard because of the absolute minimal trust that we knew that we were going to be okay and we were going to get there. But we honestly have a ride. This eclipse season, I always said it, that October was going to be the tipping point. It's basically, we got to the top of the mountain and now we can just chill. In fact, you know what? Don't roll over the other side yet. Have a cocktail. Enjoy your arriving at the top of the mountain, because you know what? I want to celebrate you and I want to celebrate all of us because we've got there. But as I say, if you are feeling it's a little bit tense at the moment, it's because you're still resisting. Allow those things to play out so you can just step back, let go, step back, let go, and trust in the process. I know you want to throat punch me, but that is the truth. Trust in the process. So the deepest layers are being released. Okay, so that is kind of like where we're at, right? So now moving into my next thing on my list. Okay, your mastery now shows. Okay, so what I mean by that is we're all having moments where we're like, whoa, okay, just did a meditation, felt a very clear channel come through. Whoa, actually got a very powerful message in this way. And you're doing things with your energy and frequency, things that you've planted seeds on long ago. You may be seeing the results for it now. And as far as I'm concerned, those that have kind of been consistently going, you're going to see those shoots coming on the trees now. This is that time where you're actually going to start to see the physical manifestations of your endeavors, because the new timeline is landing. We all agreed to put our good shit there. Do you know what I mean? So you're going to start to see this now. So you move out of October and we move into November 11/11 season, now the portal, and we just kind of like move through, out of 2023. I mean, good things are happening, man. Good things are happening. And so understanding your mastery and like acknowledging yourself. Finally, you can see yourself and go, actually, I think I might be a big damn deal, because you are, right? So what's kind of like coming to light now is like you start to look at your journey as a soul, as a higher being incarnate, and like you start to look back and you start to understand what your path and purpose is now. It's almost like the sleep's being wiped out your eyes. You're starting to kind of know who you are energetically and on a physical level, and it's all coming together a little bit. You're like, okay, this is starting to make sense a little bit. Things are getting a bit more tangible. Things are starting to land, which is exactly what the ascension process is all about, coming into the physical body, right? So now, when I say what your understanding of what your last life is, when I say your last life, I don't mean the one before this one. I'm talking about the most significant life a few lifetimes ago where you got taken out. Okay, so now the work you're doing now, okay, and I really want you to listen very carefully to this, because this is kind of significant. I don't do often a lot of past life stuff because I believe in present moment and, you know what I mean, and looking forward. But it is very, very powerful to kind of look back, to refer back to here. Now, your last lifetime, okay, you would have been on your game and you would have been just going along like a puffer train, like full on force. And then you would have been taken out and you would have died, and then you would have had to come back again to actually complete the karma, clear the karma, come back and do it again. But there's a particular lifetime for all of us that we were like on our game and we unexpectedly got taken out and everything got cut short. Now, I know with my lifetimes, I took about another 4 lifetimes for me to kind of redeem myself and have a chill time for 4 lifetimes, because it was so traumatic at that particular life when I got taken out. So I've now come back into this life, which is deeply significant, because they said in 2023/2024, we would all ascend, and the scales are tipping, and it's happening. Okay, it's happening. And that's the timeline that we said. So we knew we had to incarnate back in this lifetime to finish off what we started. And that's what I've been putting in all my Egypt videos, calling people back to Egypt. It says, let's go back to the temples and finish off what we started. Let's go back to where we left off. So there is a leaving off time in a past lifetime that in this lifetime, why it's so exciting and deeply significant, you're kind of like doing that, so you're passing the baton from your past life self to now carry on and get this done now, which was to basically complete Complete, complete, complete. Number 7 is a very significant number to me and many of you out there. And that is why I always work with the number 7, because it's all about completion. And it's all about, kind of like coming to that beginning and the end, all in that same point. We have come here in this lifetime to complete. So when you complete, you just go through another rebirth. And then we start coasting into a completely different frequency, which is the new age of Aquarius, which is the new, the new earth, right? So also in that as well, and I just want to chuck this into the mix about knowing yourself energetically, you're going to start looking at things now and going, right, okay, what's my interest? Do you really love the stars? Or do you like deeply steep your interest into Egypt maybe, or India, or Avalon, or, maybe you're really into Vikings or whatever. Whatever it is that's really your energetic cup of tea and preference, guess what? You're a master in that. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't work with my main frequency, and it's not really planted. It used to be in India, but that was a pass through for me. Mine is Egypt, but you might be into India because that's your signature frequency. So if you know a lot about that, it means that's where your mastery lies. So if you've got like books and books and books on your shelf and it's all to do with, I don't know, the Norse gods or whatever, Odin, then just because you read those books doesn't mean that that's all it is. That's where your mastery lies. And you've got all those books to just remind you, oh yeah, I'm ascended master in that. Then you read another book. Oh yeah, I'm an ascended master in that. And that's why. So it's actually really seeing yourself for who you really are. And you are a master. You are a light being incarnate with all of this frequency and knowledge and wisdom. That is exactly who you are. So now, as we've kind of like been pushed through this kind of like this eclipse season and everything like that, what we're actually talking about here is a changing of the guard as well. So I came into a very frustrated point the other day where I was like, oh my God, I was so frustrated because I was teaching and I was doing things and I was like, I don't want to be teaching this. I'm bored of this. I feel like there's more. And that frustration really kind of like got to me. And then the reason, I let myself get the better of me because I went into the shadow. But what was really going on there was a new layer of wisdom being unlocked and being, and that's why I had to take it really quiet this week to allow it to come to the surface. The same thing will be happening to you as well. I call it the changing of the guard, where you'll get your guard step, your guard. Yeah, changing the guard, changing of guides. Your guides step back and then new ones come in to work with your higher being. You remember, you've got your soul and your higher being. You're actually the one that is the most equipped to tap into all of this. But then we also have our guides as well. So now our team's changing, right? So for me, I got propelled into another Egyptian goddess, Nekbet. I'll be sharing with her. But my point is I closed on the Egyptian wisdom that I was working with before. And now I've got access to a whole lot of libraries, a brand new one. And that's what's going to be happening with you as well. And when we go through those changes, you sometimes feel like there's stillness, like there's nothing going on. It's the most uncomfortable, sometimes a little bit scary, like what's going on? There's no one there. That's what it feels like sometimes when you're going through a changing of the guard. Because one steps out and the other one steps in and there's always a little bit of a vacuum. So if you feel that, don't worry, all is well. Everything is on point and that's what's happening. But some of you may be very well aware of that next level of mastery, which has happened to me. It was instant and I'm running with it. So if you're feeling that little bit of an empty space, it's because that's what's coming. Okay. So now the last thing I want to kind of just leave this video on is, because it's a real map and compass video, this one. What I want to share with you is when you are having now in this new timeline, like what the game looks like now, capital GAME. So what it looks like now is when you get a surge of shadow and you're like, oh my God, this feels really uncomfortable. It's not because you're going in the wrong direction. You're not going into a dark night of the soul. Absolutely not. We've done all that. What's actually coming up is shadow to tell you that yes, you are indeed moving on the right path and you're moving forward. Because think about it, you clean the path, you keep going down that road and you're moving forward, but there's junk on the path and you want to get to the top of that mountain. So you just got to clear the junk out so you can keep following that path because the path is very much there. So when you have these surges of kind of like shadow and you feel a bit ick, you know what I mean? take a moment and actually try and sit with it and find out, like, okay, what do I need to understand about this? Where am I out of alignment with what I've asked for? So if you want to be, you know, if you've got a creation going on, or if you've got a vision, you just want to be happier, you know, like, okay, so this shadow's come up. What is it telling me? Because there's obviously a lack of love vibration. There's obviously a lack of harmony there. So what's going on there? What am I not opening up to? Because every time you hit a bump in the road now, it's because you are not opening up. You've got to crack that energy, because inside it is good energy, which is going to open up the pathway so you can continue. So that's what you've got to look at now. Instead of going, oh my God, bad, turn around, go back, let me lie on the sofa for a week and go into a dark night of the soul. Don't let it consume you, because that's not where you're at now, because you're a master, right? So you look at it and you sit back and you go, this is great. In fact, Esther Hicks speaks a lot on this. She speaks about, or Abraham speaks a lot about when these kind of like fur balls get coughed up, as it were. It's a wonderful thing, because it's telling you where to go to next. So take a moment to not get involved in the story and look at the energy and go, wow, this is such a gift. So let's have a look inside and see where I'm out of alignment and where I can come into harmony. Now, working with Metatron's cube is really great to bring your being into a harmonious state. I've spoken a lot about that. That might just be you just sitting in front of Metatron's cube and just gazing at that pattern and that formation, and allowing Metatron's cube and the frequency within that symbol to kind of like harmoniously kind of like iron out the creases. And that's going to help you a lot with kind of like decalcifying this thing in the middle of your path, right? So the shadow comes up. It's a different thing now. Don't go into it. Look at it. And then you can go around it. Do you know what I mean? And then you carry on moving forward. So there's going to be a lot more that I'm going to be sharing on. But yeah, teachers must lead now. Teachers must teach and leaders must lead. And for those of you that are kind of like, you know, space holders like that, much like myself, we have to encompass our whole house now. We can't live in a mansion and live in the guest bedroom. We've got to live in all the rooms. So we have to be very, very clear in our energy. We have to be very, very clear in our minds and what we speak about. We need to be held accountable for that. Hence, going back to that shadow that comes up, look at it, clear it, because others are coming now, and that we need to bring more and more people to our community so they can join us and they can step into their power. They can step into their wisdom. But for us to be a very, very powerful and clear teacher, light, whatever it might be that they're coming to us for, to bounce off, we got to be super clear now. So we now kind of like got to step up our game if there is remnants left over. I know I've had to. So as always, thank you for listening to my absolute tsunami of a video today, because the energy is like poof. But you know what? You can go back and listen to it again and again, which you might have to. But anyway, thank you for always being here. And I just want to share with you now, there is a live with Sekhmet on my circle community. I'll put the write-up in the YouTube in the post write-up. There is a live with Sekhmet next week, Wednesday, okay, in my circle community. I'll put the link there. And there is a Hacker Codes group with Sekhmet and Hathor on 1111 portal. So if you feel that you're ready to dive in and just go for it, everything I've spoken about in this video, there you have it. And as always, the golden glowing portal of the Tablets of Light Tour 2024 in May is open for those that are really ready to deep dive. Anyway, I'll leave you with all of that magic. I love you, and keep on trucking. You got this. Peace.